hasn't this war to some extent had the sort of counterintuitive effect of, by raising the price of oil to such an extent, has he not replenished some of the coffers in Iran, far beyond 1.7 billion that he would complain about?
Yes. Even beyond that, he's raised the price of oil, which benefits not just Iran, but Putin.
Russia.
But importantly, what Iran has done is they've begun to treat the Strait of Hormuz like a toll road. They're already getting paid just to let tankers through.
In crypto, mostly.
Yeah. And so
Melania coin. I think they get Melania coin.
Yeah. Well, they've done what Trump did. Hey, we've got a coin too. And it's not, it just, for history, it's kind of what the Egyptians did with the Suez Canal. After they fought a war in which they wanted to nationalize the Suez Canal, and they're still getting paid for transit through.
Now, I thought isn't there a maritime treaty that suggests free navigation and that charging those types of tolls, is that against international law?
Yes, but guess what? So is invading and bombing another country.
Wait,
and
what?
So when you dispense of international law, your adversaries also stop paying attention to international law. And I think this is important too, though, because the Iranians have now demonstrated that their ability to control that strait is kind of like a nuclear deterrent, right? Is America likely to attack them again? I don't think so after how this one went. And so we've given them also not just additional revenue sources, we've actually given them in some ways greater security because they've demonstrated a deterrent that they have through that strait.
And because they've demonstrated that, then they've sort of now UAE, Oman, I guess they also border that strait. Do they think, well, geez, why didn't do that? Or is the part that they're at just too wide for them to be able to get a cut of that?
Well, Oman is closer, right? But it's also just the fact that they're stakeholders in the American-led petrodollar security in global economy, right? So they're playing by the rules, and they also don't have the kind of military strength
that everything is traded in petrodollars coming through there.
Exactly, and the transaction, because this is another thing, a geopolitical thing that is happening, which is that the Chinese have wanted to do trades not in the dollar to weaken our control of the global economy. The Iranians want that, the Russians want that, and increasingly other countries are like, I'm not sure I want to give the Americans control over our economy because that's what the dollar gives us. We can sanction whoever we want. But importantly, I think those other countries, particularly in different ways, the UAE, Saudi, and Qatar, are likely to kind of look at us, who we're their security guarantor. Like their whole model is, we have these monarchies, we get to stay in power, the Americans provide our security, and we provide our people with a measure of prosperity and stability. That model's been kind of shattered by this war. And so you could start to see them hedging against us and drawing closer to China or Russia, or just looking for other options so that they're not overly reliant on a country, the United States, that started a war that caused predictably drones and missiles to rain down on them.
Right. Because they are, they're sort of presenting themselves as the cities of the future, these sort of, Jetsons-esque, we're going to build islands out of nothing in the sand. We're going to build buildings. And then when you see drones and missiles hitting those cities and people fleeing these casinos of wealth and power, it does tend to diminish it.
It does. I mean, the Dubai model, that's the UAE's, that's the ultimate Jetson city.
That's their jewel.
Their model depends upon the idea that this is a safe place to visit. This is a desirable place to live. If you're an oligarch, come live here and put your money here. Come do business here.
Duty free. It's a duty free shop. The entire city.
It's a duty free shop. Yes, and it's gone from the situation being that the Emirates would literally pay influencers to come and post pictures of themselves on social media enjoying Dubai, to nobody there is allowed to post anything or else they get arrested.
I was going to say, to jailing influencers for doing that.
Yeah. And I think what that tells you, though, and this is, I think, another important part, believe it or not, John, the Pete Hegseth Department of War has not been transparent with you about the extent of damage that has been done.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah. I know it's hard
Ben,
to believe. I know. It's shocking. The reality is that the damage done to U.S. facilities, military bases, and diplomatic facilities across the Gulf, and I think to these Gulf countries, is much worse than we know, we're not being given accurate battle damage assessments from the Pentagon about our
Right.
facilities. And the fact that these countries won't allow people to even post pictures of what's gone on there tells you something about the fact that a lot of those Iranian drones and some of those Iranian missiles got through. We're talking on order of billions and billions of dollars of repairs that are going to be needed, but also incalculable damage to their economies. Because, just take Qatar, the liquid natural gas field that is the biggest in the world. Iran bombed that gas field that Qatar uses, took it offline. That's going to take years to get that up and running, the entire infrastructure of it, in the scenario where the war ends. And because that's offline, not only is Qatar taking an economic hit, but there are people that in the UK that are sliding into poverty because they're dependent on that gas for power.
Right. And it's going to create food shortages and all kinds of
Yes.
different